Honorable Mrs. Esra also Ekufo, Minister of Communications, Republic of Ghana, Air Vice Marshal David Evans, Commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Mr. Albert Nkibose Akon, founder of Equine Bureau, Colonel Robert Ajuni, retired Director of Administration at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, distinguished invited guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen, we warmly welcome this afternoon to the inaugural ceremony of the ultra-modern cyber training lab here at KAIPTC. To formally kickstart the program, I humbly invite the commandant of this noble institution to deliver his welcome remarks. Shall we give him a round of applause as he comes here?
Thank you very much, Aisha. The Honorable Minister for Communications, Mrs. Asiawusu Ekufo, founder of the E-Crime Bureau and National Cybersecurity Advisor, Mr. Albert Nkibose Akon, Board of Directors of E-Crime, management and staff of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center and E-Crime Bureau, members of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the management of this and staff of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, I welcome you all to the inauguration of the state-of-the-art cyber training laboratory here at the KAIPTC. Nearly 2 years ago, the KAIPTC signed a memorandum of understanding with the E-Crime Bureau to provide world-class capacity building in cybersecurity and digital forensics. This was in recognition of the pioneering work of E-Crime Bureau within the cybersecurity landscape in Ghana and the West African sub-region. This collaboration, I am happy to report, has successfully executed certificate programs in cybersecurity and digital forensics. Recently, a cybersecurity course targeted at CEOs and staff of management was introduced to ensure a deeper appreciation of the issue of cybersecurity and to engender full commitment at management level for effective implementation of strategies against cybercrime in organizations. We at the KAIPTC have seen the good fruits and results born out of our collaboration with E-Crime Bureau, and we are ever ready to build upon this, which leads me to the reason why we are here today. In a short while, we will be unveiling an ultra-modern cyber training laboratory, which undoubtedly is a step in the right direction to propel KAIPTC's vision of, and I quote, becoming the leading and preferred international center for training, education, research in African peace and security, unquote. Certainly, we are on our way to achieving excellent cybersecurity and digital forensics capacity building. It is therefore worth noting that this inauguration has come at a very important time to support collective efforts to make Ghana resilient and safe in cyberspace. In line with this year's theme for the National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which I quote again, a safer digital Ghana, we believe this facility is a great stepping stone towards ensuring that the requisite knowledge and skills to counter the threats of cyber criminals are guaranteed. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to congratulate the teams at the KAIPTC and E-Crime Bureau for their tireless efforts in making this facility see the light of day. KAIPTC and E-Crime Bureau will continue to provide the leadership and support to institutions to develop the requisite skills needed to address the cybersecurity challenges facing the country and the sub-region. Once again, you are all welcome to KAIPTC and to see this new state-of-the-art laboratory. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commandant. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and I invite the founder of INAUGRATION to deliver his introductory remarks. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
Honorable Minister for Communications, Commandant, the Board of Directors of INAUGRATION, Management Board members of the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center, staff of INAUGRATION, staff of Kofi Annan Center, stakeholders of both INAUGRATION Bureau and the Center, media personnel present, and friends. Respectfully, Honorable Minister, I'm standing here only to tell a story of appreciation. Everyone should expect a speech. I'm just giving a narrative of appreciation at two levels. The first one is my appreciation to the center. 7 years ago, I returned from my long stay in Europe. Those who return home knows how experience in settling in Ghana looks like. This is one of the places that accepted my adventurous ideas. I was put on courses in which I was privileged to make certain contacts, including the very person who is now my boss. I can only say thank you to the center. I have experience, I'm not telling now. But there were different interactions I made in that short period of a year or two, trying to make contact, trying to sell idea that has been developed naturally in Europe. The center received that idea. They gave me a place to make an impact. Commandant, to you and your institution, myself and INAUGRATION is grateful for giving us the basis to develop the grant. Now, the second level is to my Honorable Minister. I like her frankness and a lot of things she has said publicly. In the course in which I was privileged to teach, there were many people. At the time, Honorable Minister was in opposition. She was an MP. She was in government. In her class, there were senior people who were in government. There were people who mattered. People who could have identified something to support national effort. It did not happen. When this government won election, I had a call from Honorable Minister Albert. The President has given me a responsibility to deal with cybersecurity. I know you run your own business, but I would like you to come and assist. But Minister, as I said, there were several people in that room when I talked. MPs, security advisors, ministers. Came back at a long period to recognize what I could do to support you. Apart from expressing my appreciation to you, I think I just want to assure you the mandate that you have is a collective responsibility. I want to say a big thank you and dedicate my commitment. Indeed, we have been helping. When we cannot get the national resource, I call some of these things here. Come and assist without invoicing. And I think it is due to the fact that Honorable Esla Owusu recognized something that could be of support. That is my story. But last, I want to thank the team at eCrime. I keep on saying that I've never had such a team. Discipline, dedication, commitment. We produced this together. The recognition that my minister saw was produced not because I'm a genius or I know all the best. It's because of the little effort that we started. It wasn't like now. The story was quite difficult. Doomsaw processing hard drives. People had to live in a lab where was per day. But all those staff have stayed and they are running the crime. I haven't lost a single person who I started building the organization for, despite the so-called discipline regime at UCrime. Thanks so much. I can also appreciate and say big thank you. So, Commandant, Madam Minister, that is my short story of appreciation to the team. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to deliver the keynote address, I humbly invite the Honorable Minister of Communication on stage. Shall we welcome her?
Commandants, AVM, prefects. That's a nice introduction. The National Cybersecurity Advisor and founder of the Crime Bureau, Mr. Nkwesi, management and staff of KAIPTC, which I consider my home. I also have a story to tell before I start my speech. Board members and staff of Crime Bureau, representatives from government agencies, academia, security and law enforcement agencies, financial institutions and business organizations, the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, guests. My first introduction, and I've repeated this story many times, to cybersecurity was within the walls of Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, where as part of the Executive Masters in Conflict, Peace and Security course, we had to undertake a session on cyber security. And our instructor was Mr. Albert Nkwesi, who scared me so much that I never forgot the lesson. I had no way of knowing that 3, 4, 5 years onwards, I would be given the responsibility of developing our cybersecurity and defenses in this country when the president gave the Ministry of Communications that responsibility with me as its head. And since my first introduction to cybersecurity was from Mr. Nkwesi, I called on him to come and help us do the work that he has sufficiently scared us into taking seriously. As he indicated, in my class were very notable personalities. But until today, it had never occurred to me that yes, we could have started taking concrete measures to protect against cyber threats as far back as 2014, 2015, and not waited until 2017 if we had acted proactively. But it is a case of better late than never. And thank God I took this conflict, peace and security course in Kofi Annan, which introduced me to emerging threats and against peace and security, such as cybersecurity. So I must commend this institution for the very laudable work that it has done over the years to fill this space which is so critical. Without that introduction, maybe we would have continued to turn a blind eye to the dangers that are so present with us in our digitalization agenda for this country and indeed the world. Today, I am a very, very happy person, as we've all been invited to the inauguration of the newly built state-of-the-art cyber training lab, a true PPP product of a joint effort between KAIPTC and E-Crime Bureau. And I'm honored that, I don't know if they planned it, so it would coincide with the National Cybersecurity Awareness Month activities, but it falls right in line with our efforts to produce a safer digital Ghana. I congratulate the Crime Bureau and KAIPTC for setting the pace, leading the agenda in this industry with this collaboration, which for my ministry is a significant example of proper collaboration between the private sector and the public sector to build a cyber resilient digitized economy and protect against cyber attacks. In all the interactions that we have had, it is all right to put in place, invest in the systems, the technical systems to protect your organization from cyber attacks. But the weakest link, as always, is the human interface and the human resources. Capacity building is critical and a very important component to realize the shared objective. I've just come from a session on cybersecurity within the financial sector. And the running theme through almost all the presentations is that we do not have enough trained personnel in this area, because every organization needs its own in-house information security officers who know what to do to even utilize the systems that they put in place. How to identify and recognize that the organization is under threat, where to send that information, and how to implement protective measures in that organization. We do not have enough personnel in country, in the private sector, in the public sector, to undertake this exercise that is so critical, because we are going to continue in this effort to digitize our economy. Every organization is moving towards uptake of greater technology to improve efficiency. It is incumbent on us to put in place the right structures, measures, personnel to help us. And that, so the dearth and the inadequacies that we face in this area is key. The need to even provide adequate funding to sustain these efforts is also critical. This lack of trained personnel is even faced by our law enforcement agencies. For as long as I know, when they're faced with serious challenges involving computer forensics and digital forensics, they are called upon E-Crime Bureau to assist. Because currently they are about the only agency I know which has been working actively with the law enforcement agencies to assist them build their own capacities in this area. Now we need to support them to also develop their own capabilities in this area. And that leads me to the next point, because about a year ago, I was invited to open the first certificate program in cybersecurity. I believe it was in the same room. Upstairs, okay. Here in Kofi Annan. And during that interaction, I made a specific reference to the existing challenges of the industry, not just in Ghana, but globally, in terms of the lack of professional skills and expertise to meet the growing demands of industry and government institutions in combating cybercrime. The Bureau was also facilitating that cyber security training program certificate course here too. This is a swift response to the call I made And I'm convinced that this path being charted together with E-Crime Bureau will go the extra mile to complement the campaign by the National Cybersecurity Center and the Ministry of Communications in ensuring a safe digital Ghana. The certificate program was open to both the private sector and the public sector. And I know that it is an ongoing capacities in this very. I hope the media would also help amplify our voice as we urge all institutions who are aware of the threats that cyber attacks pose to help build their own in-house capacity by taking advantage of the certificate course being run by this institution to prepare their staff to face the eventualities which are coming. I'm elated cybersecurity and digital forensics tools to encourage a more practical learning experience. Nothing beats getting your hands dirty on both the offensive and defensive capabilities of this cyber security course. So it is essential that they have a laboratory in which they can put into practice the theory that they learn. That's why I'm particularly delighted with what we're about to do today, which is aligned with the objectives of KAIPTC to ensure excellence in human capacity building. Even as we continue to invest in talent within the sub-region and beyond, we need to ensure that standards are current and at par with international benchmarks. Our cybersecurity professionals must be globally competitive in this increasingly interconnected global economy. Raising our standards will put Ghana in a stronger position to be competitive, not just domestically, but at the global level. Let's just think about it for a moment. If we, with all that we're doing in cybersecurity, realize that we lack cyber professionals, how much more our friends within the sub-region and the wider continent? So for those who are acquiring specific capabilities and competencies in this area, you're positioning yourself not just to fill the positions within this country, but globally as well, because the skills you're acquiring are transferable in very high demand and would afford you a very, very comfortable income going forward. So I'm encouraging as many young people as possible to take up a career in as cybersecurity professionals, because they would be assured of a very comfortable future for the foreseeable future. And it is something that maybe they haven't thought of as a profession. But looking at the trends, looking at what is happening globally, looking at the need for more professionals in this area, the sky is the limit. I wish I were 20 years younger. I would ditch law and go for cybersecurity without thinking. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the growth in information technology, including the introduction of e-payment platforms and products, paperless port systems, mobile money interoperability, e-learning, e-justice, and all the many e-governance interventions, among others, have opened up our economy to the international world and made us attractive in a negative way to cyber criminals. We have been recognized as one of the leading lights in the West African sub-region. I keep saying that we intend to make Ghana the go-to place for all things IT within the sub-region. In the area of cybersecurity, we're increasingly being recognized as the reference point for interventions that are working in the sub-region. And we're currently running a course next door. The World Bank and the Oxford University Capacity Maturity Center are currently, Cybersecurity Center are currently running a course right next door for the ECOWAS sub-regional professionals on sharing of experiences, and they're using Ghana as a case study, positive one, on what to do to protect yourselves against cyber attacks. We are just at the ground floor. We've just begun our interventions in here, and yet people think that we're doing something right. However, we also, because we're positioning ourselves in that, we have also become a focus for those who would seek to threaten us. And so we can't rest on our laurels. The growing threat landscape against us is to be expected, and we expected that, and we are prepared for it. But we need to prepare and protect our critical national information infrastructures, our sensitive information and data, as well as our people against the activities of cyber criminals. We say we want to use more electronic forms of payment, move to more e-commerce, digitize all of our operations. All that, while beneficial, also exposes us to certain dangers out there. And without equipping our people to recognize and deal with those dangers and prevent them from even occurring, we will be doing ourselves a disservice. It is clear from all the discussions we've been having with professionals and stakeholders this whole week that the weaknesses around people, the human resources, are a major issue of concern, leading to many of the incidents of cybercrime recorded on a daily basis. And this made us focus this year's Cybersecurity Awareness Month on industry-focused sessions involving security law enforcement, the judiciary, education, businesses, public sector institutions, amongst others. I hate to blow my own, but I think it is going well. And I'm glad we took this, we made this attempt to increase public awareness of the dangers around us and take steps to protect our digital experiments as well. My ministry, through the Cybersecurity Center, has identified human capacity building as a key component in the fight against cybercrime. And so we look forward to developing continuous and sustainable capacity building initiatives through the Cybersecurity Center in the coming years to ensure that every aspect of the ecosystem is sufficiently protected to ensure a safe digital environment. We've had Supreme Court judges and Court of Appeal judges with us yesterday and today, also keen to upgrade their skills. We've worked with judges in the financial courts to upgrade their skills. And the Council of Europe is using Ghanaian professionals trained in this area as trainers in the capacity building efforts across the sub-region. We aren't doing too badly, but we still have a very long way to go. And so I'm delighted at the collaboration between eCrime Bureau and KAIPTC, and congratulate you both for making this vision a reality and setting up this facility. I'm hopeful that government institutions, individuals, and corporate organizations will utilize this facility to acquire knowledge in the many disciplines that you will be rolling out. I further charge you not to rest on your laurels, but to continuously invest in research and development to identify other viable areas of cooperation to improve upon the standards you've set for yourselves and the industry. And in conclusion, I'm expressing my hope that this facility will serve as a sub-regional hub for professional development in cybersecurity and digital forensics to enhance the performance of industry, governments, and academia dealing with this very interesting and very dynamic area, but which also exposes us to persistent cyber threats. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, I humbly invite the Head of Technical Operations at the eCrime Bureau, Mr. Philemon Hini, to deliver the closing remarks. Let's welcome him as a council.
Thank you very much. I'm just looking around, I can see a group of hackers behind us. Hope they're not intercepting on that. On behalf of the Board of Directors and management of eCrime Bureau, I humbly extend my sincere gratitude to the Honorable Minister of Communications for taking time off her busy schedule to support us with the opening of this important facility. We also thank the Commandant of the KAIPTC for their collaborative support in this solid partnership. To our clients and stakeholders, we thank you for your continued support, and we are confident that you will adopt this facility to improve upon your cybersecurity capability and also preparedness. We look forward to making the best impact in our drive towards ensuring a safe digital Ghana by developing industrial relevant programs to help close the cybersecurity gaps in cybersecurity and digital forensics in Ghana and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the first part of the program. And on that note, we shall all head out to the forecourt of the library to take a group photograph, after which we then proceed to the mess, that's the KAIPTC mess, to continue with the second part of this event. Thank you very much. Shall we kindly rise as our guests take their leave?